this is all done, you wash your jars in hot soapy water. You can use your dishwasher if you like. My dishwasher cycle takes 2.5 to 3 hours to go from start to finish. So I typically don't have the patience to wait. So I wash my jars in hot soapy water, pop them in the canner, bring the water up to boiling. Once it reaches boiling point, your jars are ready. Now, a lot of people want to use the word sterilization. There's really no such word as sterilization in this environment. Even in your kitchen, even I have a very clean house. I keep my house very clean. I'm like my mother. But there's no such thing as keeping things sterile, right? So as long as everything is clean, been washed with hot soapy water, you're good to go. Okay? So your jars are heated and your water, they're good to go. Now, about 12 years ago, we had some issues with the jars sealing, and then they were coming undone, like a day, a week, a month later. And in our instructions, it stated to boil these lids between 5 and 10 minutes. Well, we were discovering that there was a lot of seal failure. What was happening is the lids, when the lids were boiling between the 5 and 10 minutes, right, they were scratching against each other, making scratches on this enamel, and those scratches were leading to seal failure. Okay? So now all we do is we bring the lids up to a boiling water. When they reach that boiling point, again shut it off and your lids are ready. Now, if you don't use your lids for this batch that you're doing, remove the lids from the water, pat them dry, set them aside, and then use them for your next canning adventure. Okay? So, the lids are ready, the jars are ready. Now, we're going to do the pickles first. We're going to do the bread and butter pickles, which you have right there. So, I have vinegar, I have sugar, and I have this mix right here. Okay, it's a bread and butter mix. I know when I was a kid and growing up, my mom used to make pickles again. She still does. Sometimes pickles used to, and you have the recipe in your bags if you want to follow. Sometimes products would take, the recipes would take 7, 8, 10, 12 ingredients, and it would be a nightmare because the kitchen would stink. I mean, reek of vinegar for the next 2 days. This is very simple. All you do is you follow your recipe, and there's also, this is a product called a flex bat. So, from my garden, I don't always have a large batch of cucumbers or pickled cucumbers to make a large batch. So this allows you to make a flex batch. It allows you to make 2 or 3 or 4 jars, whatever you have in your garden. So this is why I really like this, because it's very convenient for my use, because I don't always have a large batch of cucumbers to make my pickles in. Okay? So I've got my. Okay, so here's the deal. So the stove is back there, so I'm going to be going back and forth, and I'm going to be bringing here, explaining to you what we're doing, what I'm doing, and giving you the best option, okay? So we'll just put that there. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Okay? Alright, so we're doing one for our pickle first. Right back. Okay? So, now my lids are heated. They're done. Alright? So we're just going to set them aside. I'm going to keep them warm. Alright? Now, our pickles. So the jars are hot. So I'm going to take the jar out, pack them with pickled cucumbers. Pickling cucumbers are the little ones that you buy at the supermarket or the farmer's market. It's best to use pickling cucumbers, and it's typically better. If you're going to can pickles, we recommend to can them within 24 hours after picking. Okay? The crispiness, the crunchiness will remain along with the firmness of the pickle. If you can't can them within 24 hours, don't pick them or don't buy them, because you'll end up with a softer type of pickle. Okay? So it's recommended to do it within 24 hours. Alright? So I'm going to take some jars out. Here's the jar. Here's my brine mixture. Okay. And all you want to do is get these little guys in there as quickly as possible. But you want to work as efficiently as you can as well.
Excuse me, how do you prepare the pickles?
These guys?
Yeah.
I just wash them. Get the ends. That's it. Put them ice.
I know some people who soak them in ice water.
Yeah, what I did this morning, I soaked them for a few hours in ice, in some water, and I removed them, and that's it. It gives them a little crispy. You don't have to do that, but if you want an ultimate crispier, crunchier pickle, you can ice them, but you don't have to do that, right? It all depends on what you're looking for. Okay, so there. And then we take our mixture that I made just earlier. And everything's hot, right? So you want to keep everything hot. That is key when canning. Okay, so pickles are a ½ inch headspace. So it's this second little notch there. So we go like that. That's pretty bang on. A damp, clean cloth. Wipe the ridge of the jar, right? And then we want to take our sealing lid right here. Place it on. And take your screw band. And this goes on fingertip tight. Okay? Now there's a reason for that. Alright? Now the reason why we do it fingertip tight. This jar is going to go into a large pot of boiling water. The boiling water must be at least 1 inch above the jar. And when you bring it up to a boil, the boiling water must continuously rotate around the jar. Now the reason why we process is two things. One, it eliminates any risk of mold or bacteria growing in your jar afterwards. Secondly, that water, that boiling water, is going to seal this jar, making this shelf stable. Okay? So the water is continuously circling around the jar. The space that we have here, the head space, that's a ½ inch. So while the water is boiling and boiling this, it makes the food expand, pushing that air out. And then when it comes out and it's cooling, it seals, making that lid concave. Okay? Now, if this is too tight, and I've gotten at least a ½ dozen emails today about this lid malfunctioning. Of course, they blame me, not me directly, but they blame the jar. So, if this is on too tight, your lid will crimp or buckle, allowing water into your jar. Because that processing is going to push that air out, guaranteed. Guaranteed. If this is not the weakest point, the bottom of your jar is going to pop out. Okay? So, no water will enter your jar. As God is my witness, trust me. Okay? Fingertip tight, and then you're good to go. Right? So then we take the jar, and it goes back into the can. Here, just pack them in. Another one. Now, if your water happens to be a little, you see that here? The water's a little cloudy. Alright? So it should be like this. Right? So there's probably a little calcium buildup in your water. All you do is you add about a ¼ cup of white distilled vinegar into your water, and that cloudiness will completely disappear.
So you're putting that right in the pot?
Right in the pot of boiling water, yeah.
Okay.
It's not going to affect your seal or your canning, nothing, okay? It won't affect anything. It'll just remove that calcium buildup. Because sometimes, if your water is not treated, if you have your own well, that can help. Okay?
What about a water softener?
Yeah, water softener shouldn't have an issue with it. Yeah.
So that won't make it cloudy?
Pardon me?
The water softener won't make it cloudy?
No, shouldn't. That depends on how well your water softener is. Down. Okay? And then we do another little white. Another little white. Damp, clean cloth always, right? Okay? And then we take our lid. Place it on. Now this is going to process for 15 minutes. Right? So you start counting the boiling process when the water is boiling. Take these two guys, put them right in. Fingers are tough, trust me. All right. Hey, Debbie, can you give me a 15-minute mark, please?
15-minute.
15-minute mark. Just time me 15 minutes.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Now the next thing we're going to start is we're going to start with the jam. So we're going to make a peach ginger jam. Peaches are in full season. So we're going to put We're going to use this one, this guy right here, the crystal. So what I've done here, I did my peaches, I just blanched my peaches, and these were frozen. Typically, most often than not, when I'm doing canning in the summertime, my fruit is frozen. So I've peeled my peaches, froze them, and then when I use them, they're labeled in the freezer, okay? Now, this particular recipe is with the crystals. So I've added my lemon juice already.
Is there a reason why you freeze them instead of using them fresh?
I typically don't have time to do them.
Oh.
Yeah. So if I don't have time to do them, yeah. And most often than not, I don't. So that's why when I get them, buy them, if they're ripe, I will prepare them and freeze them. If, of course, I have the time, I do it right away. Okay? So with that, we're going to add some ginger. Now you can add some ground, like some real ginger, right? But being that I'm a little always pressed for time, I add some ground ginger. And I don't peel my ginger. It's like a carrot peel or a potato peel, or I just wash it really well, grate it in there, and you're good to go. If the peel is bothering you, obviously you can peel it, but the peel can stay because it's not there's no, just wash it really well. There's no issue, okay? Now, with that, I'm going to add about a tablespoon of butter or margarine. All that does, it prevents your jam from foaming up. Now the foaming, there's no danger, there's no safety, there's no issue. It's not really nice to look at in your jam. And as kids, when my mom was doing jam, she would skim the foam. She didn't have this little trick about removing the butter or putting the butter in margarine. And my brother and I would eat the foam like it was like a sticky toffee, so it's really good. Okay. So on the stove that goes. Now, this particular recipe, four cups of fruit to 5 cups of sugar, right? There's a lot of sugar, and I will agree it's a lot of sugar, right? But with these pectins, okay, let me step back. So we have 5 different types of pectin. We have the liquid, we have the crystals. The crystals is what we're using, and then we have a freezer jam that I'm going to make as well, and you're going to taste at the very end. 4 cups of crushed fruit, 1.5 cups of sugar, and this pouch of pectin. And then we have our no sugar needed for those who cannot eat sugar. The only thing is with this one, it has aspartame. I typically don't make it at home, but for those individuals who cannot eat sugar, it's an alternative. Okay. Now, when people look at this amount of sugar, they kind of you think, oh my God, there's a lot of sugar there. And I go, yeah, there is a lot of sugar. But here's the deal. It's not like you're eating a jar of jam for breakfast or for a snack. Now, if you are eating a jar of jam for breakfast or a snack, we'll have another conversation about balance and diet. But we're not eating a jar of jam for a snack, right? We're having a teaspoon or a tablespoon with your breakfast, your oatmeal, your pancakes, whatever. But the thing is with this, you can't reduce the sugar when using these two. You must use all of the sugar. If you reduce the sugar, you run the risk of having your jam not set. And then you probably want to do a long boil, which has a lot less sugar. Now, pectin is a natural gelling agent that we use that helps to gel recipes a lot quicker. Now again, my mother used to do long boil recipes as a child. Long boil means she's boiling the jam until all the moisture evaporates and she gets to a gel stage. We don't really recommend that, A, because it takes a long time, and B, you're really boiling out all the great nutrients that's in the fruit. So by adding the gelling agents as these two, it gels quicker, and then you're done, okay? So we use citrus for our pectin. Some companies use apple for natural gelling agent. We use citrus because it's a lot less expensive, okay? Now, pectins are not interchangeable. If a recipe calls for liquid, you should use liquid. If it calls for crystals, you should use crystals. The only safetier thing that's going to happen is your jam will not set. No big deal. But that's not your end goal. You want a jam that's going to set, right? So follow the recipe. Now, substitutions, decrease, increase, doubling, tripling batches, we do not recommend. Treat a canning recipe much like a baking recipe. I was in the military for 3 years as a master baker, as a private, and my captain was relying on me to feed those officers every day. And when I first started, I'm going, I'll just take that recipe and times it by 10. It didn't work, all right? Sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. So we treat very much a canning recipe like a baking recipe. No substitutions, no increasing, decreasing, replacing, changing method, because then you're going to get a bit of a runny mess on your hands, okay? Now, if this amount of sugar scares you, which a whole other conversation, we can have a product called no sugar needed. The no sugar needed is exactly what it sounds like. It's no sugar needed. You can add no sugar to your jam, or you can add a quantity of sugar, or honey, or Splenda. It's the only product on the market that allows you to do that. Now, I worked for Kraft also for 10 years in their test kitchens, and Kraft owns Serto. I don't know if you guys know that, but they own Serto, and Serto is our competitor. Serto, you must put 3 cups of sugar to call it a light style jam. Which is okay, that's their shtick. My shtick is, you don't have to put any sugar, or you can put sugar, honey, or Splenda, or nothing at all. So this is the only product like that, and I really like this because it's a great alternative to having a lot of sugar in your product, because the jams that we make has a lot of sugar, okay? Any questions on that? Yes?
But can you buy the Bernardin?
Home hardware. Home hardware. Right?
Yep.
Home hardware. If you can't get it at home hardware, I would suggest you go to a larger town, Canadian Tire, Walmart. You can also order it online. I know Walmart did have free shipping at one point. I don't know if they still have free shipping, but it's an alternative. They don't have it anymore, so okay. All right.
I got a display.
Anything else? Yes, sir.
Just get back quickly to your lid. You said that you don't boil them for 5-10 minutes?
No.
So what do you do?
Heat them in, bring the water up to a boil. When it reaches boiling point, shut the heat off and let them stand in the water. They're good to go. Okay?
In other words, you don't want them to move.
That's right. We don't want them boiling against stick, because when they boil against one another,
They bounce on each other.
they're doing this, right? They're scratching each other and then scratching that down. So we don't want that happening anymore. Okay? Yes.
And you don't boil your screw tops?
Nope. Because that never touches your food.
Right.
So we're not really worried. You wash them.
I just thought it kept the lid high. Like,
Yeah, it keeps the lid on initially, but it never comes in contact with your food. No issue. Yes?
When are we using the darkening oven?
Ah, that's a very good question. Ding, 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 ding. All right. Now, Serto, my lovely friend Serto, and every year I tell them, and every year they ignore me, and every year I go away, but then I come back. The issue with heating jars in the oven is that jars are made out of glass and not Pyrex, so they are not meant for the oven. Okay? When you heat glass in the oven, it tends to weaken the structure of the glass, and over time, the jar can shatter or explode. So we do not recommend heating the jars in the oven. Okay? It doesn't matter if you put it with water, it doesn't matter if you put a towel over it, it doesn't matter if you talk to it, you should not put it in the oven, okay? And that's a big no-no. And again, I try to tell them each and every year they go, well, we make Pectin, we don't make jars, so it's not really a concern. I'm going, I make the jars, it's a concern of mine, right? But, again. Okay, that's boiling. I'm going to add my sugar to that, okay?
This is great. I have to ask him if he wants me
Okay, now that's going to come up to full rolling boil. When it does, we're going to start the candy. Now in the meantime, I'm going to do the freezer jam. Now freezer jam, again, is one of the easiest things that I do. And I usually tell people, if you've never canned before, don't try and do 3 recipes at a time, because you get mad at me, okay? So, freezer jam. Now, if this whole processing, boiling, waiting thing nerves you out, freaks you out, freezer jam is the easiest thing to do. The recipe's on the back. 4 cups of crushed fruit. You can use any fruit you want. If you have, now these are my strawberries from my garden, and these are my blueberries from my garden. I live in Toronto. I don't have a big house, but I have a big garden. So this year I grew raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, rhubarb. I've got cherries, I've got tomatoes, I've got peppers, I've got a ton of herbs. And that's just what I have there. So, I don't have a big backyard, but I maximize what I have because I love gardening and I want fresh food. So this was frozen, so I thawed it this morning. Now the blueberries, the issue with the blueberries is when you crush them, they get kind of like that god-awful murky brown. So I heated my blueberries in the stovetop for a couple of minutes to bring the color out, and then I crushed them with this crusher. We recommend crushing all fruit with a hand masher. Now, all fruit has a little bit of pectin in it, okay? A little natural pectin. So if you use a blade, meaning a food processor or a blender or a Robocop, those kind of things with a fast blade, it will destroy the natural pectin in your fruit, resulting in a softer set jam. So we use this little potato crusher. This is a President's Choice thing. I love it because it's not sharp, but it really crushes fruit really well versus that god-awful potato masher that, you know, the U-turn. Works really well, okay? So we've got 4 cups of fruit. So I have 3 cups of blueberries and 1 cup of strawberries crushed. And then we're going to add our pectin. And then we're going to add our 1.5 cups of sugar. Just give me a moment. I'm going to go stir my jam.
He's got 3 minutes.
Okay? We're good? Now, you got to stir this for a couple of minutes, dissolving everything really, really nicely. Okay? Now, some people still use wax. No wax. Okay? Wax is what happens when the wax cools. It shrinks, allowing air into your jar, creating mold and bacteria. My father says, mold? Just scrape it off. My father's 84. He's okay. He says, it doesn't matter to me. I said, Dad, you shouldn't really eat mold. I know it won't kill you, but it's not really healthy for you, so you shouldn't really eat mold. He said, oh, for God's sakes, I'm 84 years old. If mold doesn't kill me, what's going to kill me? Fine. That's okay. Right? Secondly, wax is a byproduct of petroleum. So I don't really want a byproduct of petroleum sitting next to my food, okay? Now, these are plastic freezer jars that we have. There's, I think, a couple of sets there, right there.
Yep.
So you can freeze in glass as well, all right? However, there's one jar that you can and one jar that you cannot freeze in. These are both the same volume, I mean the same size, so they're both 500 ml, right? So we recommend to keep your jam or anything that you freeze below 1 inch of headspace. So this is your 1 inch headspace, okay?
Emerie, 1 minute.
Thank you. Bear with me 1 minute. I'm just going to take my pickles out. Alright, now I took my pickles out, I put them on a protected surface. I always work on a protected surface because we all have, well not all of it, but we have countertops that are ceramic, concrete, tiles. If you take a hot boiling glass, put it on a surface like that, you can cause the jar to crack or break, so we don't want to do that. Now, does anybody want to take a guess at which jar you can freeze in and which jar you cannot? Beautiful jam. And this jam sets within 30 minutes. So you're going to try it at the very end. Now the only drawback about this jam is that it doesn't always set like a firm cooked jam. Alright? It'll be a little softer in nature, but it's still spreadable. It's still really good. And the reason why I like doing this and presenting it is because there's no cooking. So if it's 35 degrees outside, you can still do your jam very quickly. There's no processing. and you taste the fruit automatically because there's not a lot of sugar in here. Okay? And it generally gives you 5 containers. Right there. Beauty. Okay? Alright, so now we just take our lids. Has anybody taken a guess on which ones you can freeze and which ones you can't? No one wants to guess out loud. Okay, so what we're going to do. So, I know, you're all shy. It's okay. I'm not shy, as you can tell. Yes?
The wide mouth is okay to freeze.
The wide mouth, you can freeze them.
You can.
Are
And
you
yes.
sure?
No,
I do.
You like my poker face? Why do you think that one is versus
Because
the other?
when it freezes, it's going to expand, and it's easier to go straight up than around a lip.
Exactly!
Yeah,
Bingo. So
you're good, Pat.
we can, you must have frozen in jars before, right?
I put my maple syrup in there and my freezer cans.
Okay. So we keep it below the 1 inch, right? Which is right here. So again, when liquid freezes, it tends to go up. So if this is straight-sided, it's going to go straight-sided up. If this is not straight-sided, this is what we call a shoulder jar. Makes sense, right? Shoulder. And this is what we call straight-sided. So the freezing is just below this here. So it's going to freeze, it's going to go against the shoulders, it's going to break. Now some people say, well, I feel it halfway. Kind of defeating the purpose of space, right? Now typically what I do is I freeze, I do my own stock. So then I freeze my stock. You can your stock, but I go through it too quickly to can it. So I freeze my stock, I put this in the freezer like this. I let it freeze. 24 hours later, if there's a little bump, I tap, 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 take my lid, put it on. And these are Bernardin storage lids. I love these because I have these in all my kitchens because I know when I open a jar at home, I always mangle the lid, so I toss it into recycling and then I put these lids on. Okay? Now this gem is done. Peach jam, just a minute.